Yes or no? Yes, we are the different things we are going under to from the section, from the schoolings, from the intermediate degree level. We have heard about the stories, short stories, plays, novels, and all, isn't it? Okay, now we move forward. So let us go to the imaginary publisher's catalog. Like here, when you examine the catalog, you will also come upon to the list of books we have translated into English from Bhasha literature. The visibility such translations have a relative recent phenomenon. This also brings to us the space Indian writing in English has among the literature produced in the national language. How do we see Indian English in Indian literature? The debates over these issues raises some would argue the Indian English has moved from a time to past. The bodies of writing to English is a social culture artifact in the considerably different than those produced in the other Indian languages. So we have heard about the writings of the foreign countries like English spoken writers and English writings. So here, Indian speaking is ours is what? Ours is a national language is Hindi. Indian national language is what is the Indian national language? Am I audible? Am I audible to all?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So what is Indian writing? Indian writing is the thing like in the beginning, the century 18th century, the first beginners who were just started writing the stories, the novels in our country, especially in India. Before that period, the people never began writing and publishing. So they all have started the publishers and the writers in the 18th century. Before that is as a pre-independence and post-independence. You know, pre-independence and post-independence, the time before independence and the time of after the independence. So before independence, we know that the people were never like qualified. They don't know how what reading and writing. So number of people in our regional areas and in the whole country, you can consider them as 90% not qualified, not uneducated people. So there we used to have the language goes on by listening to the stories. Yes, everybody heard like the stories will be said by our grandparents. Yes or no? The stories we heard like the king stories are there, and you say the children's stories are there, and what you say is uh, the devil's stories are there. Different types of stories are there. Yes or no? So here,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. So here, this all what we have heard, they began write. They began writing here since the 18th century, and that 18th century has been started coming time to time in the good and greater level. They have increased the writings as the people go to the side of writing and also publishing. So that period started, and there, what the period started writing, who were the people who started writing? That is a Indian writing in English. Indian writing in English. You get to know, is it okay now? What is the Indian writing in English? when we heard the stories by our parents or grandparents, the old stories, all said with their grandparents and with their grandfathers or grandmothers. So, like that, hundreds of years ago, we have all heard, and we have all heard, and we have said the same to our upcoming generation. Now, also, what we have heard, we remember some of the different things, and we just pass on the same things to our present generation children over there. So what we heard in our history, that all comes under the Indian writing in English. So what is the English here specially means? The people they just taught in their regional languages. The people said all in their regional languages, but as the time passed on, they began writing in English as well. So that is here, the writing here in English is the subject name given to us as Indian writing in English. And who were the first beginners there? Who were the first authors there? That all we on go in our class. Is it okay? Are you understanding?
Yes,
Yes,
madam.
ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Okay. So here, when you go to the history, we have heard the different, you have seen our module like, in the module, the content, we have seen the block 1, block 2, block 3, and block 4. Block 5 and block 6. Okay. So here in this 4 blocks, each introduction part here, they have started with 6 units. You have seen in block 1, 6 units, in block 2, 6 units, and in block 3, 6 units, and blocks 4, 6 units. So all block total 6 units coming under the 24 units given in our content, in our book. So here, this 24 different authors are there. You can see here, some of them male side and some of them are female side. Okay. So also they have differentiated the genders here. The difference of the genders also they have shown in the writing in English. Not only the men has written, also the women has shown their power of writing. So here we have seen in module 1, like uh, module 1, all the male with Thoragat is there. She is one of the writer there. In the very young age, she has written in the age of 8 or 9 years only she began her writing. The thought of her was very good and she began writing. And you can see some more female singers here as Kamala Das. You can see this Mahashweta Devi, Anita Desai, and who else is there? Meenakshi Mukherjee, Gauri Vishwanathan. So like this, the feminism also they have, the gender also they have differentiated in our content and said to us. So who were the beginners here? According to our module, here we have seen the very famous authors, that is Mulkraj Anand, Rabindranath Tagore. Everybody heard the name of Rabindranath Tagore, I think so. Yes or no? Rabindranath Tagore is the one who is a Nobel winner, Nobel Prize winner. He is the one who first went and taken our country's name to the side of Nobel winner award for the book Gitanjali. What is given in Gitanjali? Gitanjali is a poetry book consisting of 50 different poetries depending on all the themes, good themes like what is giving and taking. When we afford something to someone, in return, the God returns to us like. So all the good lessons he has, good poetry he has mentioned in that. And because of that good poetry is 50 collection of one poetry that is given in Gitanjali. Because of that, he is awarded the Nobel Prize to him. And when he got the Nobel Prize, and that name has became fame in the whole world. Yes, you know about him, I think so. Many of us here are teachers, I think. Yes, are the teachers there? Anybody? English teachers? Okay, we'll move. Let's move forward. So here in the content, we'll see the different authors like Khushwant Singh, Naseem Azikal, right, and Gurjara Apparao. You know who is Gurjara Apparao? Have you seen Gurjara Apparao's book? He is a Telugu writer first. He's a Telugu writer, and he also very famous in writing the stories in Telugu. Telugu is a regional language. In the district of Telangana, the people 60 to 70% speak Telugu only. So he is a writer, got famous in Telugu writing. Many of his stories and books has given to us in Telugu. In the standard 8th and 9th, 10th, I think so. In three standards, somewhere or there, his stories are given to us in the 10th standard.
Kanya
In
Sulkam.
yeah, Kanya Sulkam, which is very famous. Kanya Sulkam is given over there, and also the same content they have picked up because it's a very beautiful one to give a very good and fine lesson to the ladies. The same given to us here, Kanya Sulkam, by Gurjada Apparao in our content. This is all. They have differentiated the male and female writers of our Indian English. So now, if you see, the course is divided in four blocks, each of which has 6 units. Each of four blocks has a brief introduction seeks to familiarize the reader with the unit included in that section. The block has been arranged such that reading follows as roughly chronological ordering. The first block, thus including writing, were produced in early part of 19th century and leads one to writing that were produced at the beginning of the 20th century. The second block uh, takes you through the years immediately preceding writing produced by the first generation to the citizens in independent India, and final block brings us to some of the writers of contemporary writers such as ordering is hoped will be the reader to restrict the reading. So here contemporary writing they have mentioned. What is contemporary writing? Can anyone express contemporary writing means? Contemporary writing is the mean is like as the present at the present time at the present generation at a moment like in this running situation if any conditions that the people are seeing and that we taken up any condition which is seriously going on picking up to that content taking and writing is said as a contemporary writing. Nowadays, we are seeing many scenes outside, especially when coming to the ladies' side. Okay, the ladies are getting getting onto the good farm, right? They're getting very prestigious stages in every sector. If we are writing about them at the present thing which is going on their on their good side or on their bad side, that all the issues are said as the contemporary writing. So the contemporary writing also is there uh, like in this 20th century you can see that is also is there in our English Indian writing in English. Now some of the historical writings we will listen like the authors what the authors began and how they have presented themselves that we will see here in detail. So the English literature contains some of the finest utterance of life and content in it. We have the authorized version of Bible. The perfection, the English language is the language which Shakespeare held the mirror up to nature to show virtue, image, and voice its own countenance. The language with which uh, Milton tried to assert eternal truth, the language through which Darwin exposed the theory of evolution, struggle of existence, and survival of the fittest through it. Mill preached the gospel of liberty, and Benson the theory of greatest good of the greatest number. Arnold used for it spade of sweetness and light, and Newman for putting forward the theory of knowledge on its own end. Okay, so here some of the foreigners are also there when they written the literature. So in that foreign literature, the names of like Shakespeare, he is an outside writer, like it's not from our country. We will read him, right? We understand him. We read his history. We read his novels. We read his what you say stories. We read his poetries. He's a very famous writer. Why he became famous? Because whatever he used to write in his pen, there was a power to attract the people, like the reality based things whatever he has given to us, and that used to touch the heart of the reader. Now also you can see the different things he has written, like dramas he written. Okay, he has written the plays, he has written the stories. Stories is also different stories are there, like short stories are there, and like a novel, like a very huge long story. They are called as the novels. He has written the novels. Okay, and he also presented the different thing like what you say, very depthly he has written poetry form, like more than what 500 lines of poetries also he has written. So like that he became very famous. So people learned from him. When the people the like the beginner writers who uh, read his poetries, read his history, they got some even motivation from his writings and good ideas from his writing, and they started the same following in their thing and began and given something new to us. So here is a foreign from the other country writer. We will see him, like English language literature contains some of the finest utterance of life and conduct. In it we have the authorized version of Bible, the perfection of English virtue, her image, and vice its own countenance, the language in which Milton tried to assert, expound his theory of evolution, the struggle for existence and survival of fittest through his mill page. In the same language has been written literature by Indian authors, and the recognition their writings have evolved a term of Indo-Anglian literature. By recently, the Indians in such writing has come finally to be known as Indian writing in English. There is unanimity among literacy historians and scholars that Indian creative writing in English had began even more Macaulay's Minute on Indian Education 1835 was accepted and endorsed by the Lord William Bentinck, the Governor General of India. The time yet there is a considerable decrement, often verging on confusion as to the term on should employ in describing and identifying this area of writing. As one reviewed the development of literature, one became keenly aware of necessity to agree on comprehensive descriptive term for it, thus assigning and giving credibility to his literature. Looking to the handicraft of writing in foreign language, Dr. Srinivasa Iyer applied remark, while many good Indo-Anglian novels and many more short stories have already uh, demonstrated the feasibility of Indian writing. English fiction, it is nevertheless true that the unique intricacies of social life and the untransferable nuance of the conversation speeches are better rendered through the medium of one's own mother tongue. It is therefore certain that much of their creative work in fiction in India of the future will be only done in the vernacular, but good novels and short stories too will continue to appear either as translators or as original words. So here, uh, hello, 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 students. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what you have heard about all is about the Shakespeare here. Yes, he is a very famous author and writer. Okay. Now you know about the Anglo-Indian. You have heard the word Anglo-Indian, I think so. You have done your first year, right? You have written the Anglo-Indian and Anglo-American topics in the first year, it seems. Yes or no? Okay. So now we are going to listen about the different authors and their biographies. Like there, some of them are like Srinivasa. V.K. Gogak, and Sujit Mukherjee. Okay, these are all the Indian writers. So another Indian writing critic like V.K. Gogak recommends five broad categories of accommodate Indian writings in English. Among the first three, he has written the books by Englishmen of the letters of Indian themes. Robert Suthes, The Course of Kema, and Rudyard Kipling, The Jungle Book. You know, this is very famous. Rudyard Kipling is a very famous author, and his Jungle Book also very famous. You have seen like in the 30 years or 35 years ago, this is Jungle Book was very famous in the Doordarshan channel when the TV used to come in a black and white time. Anybody heard the name Jungle Book there? Now also it is coming in a you say uh, in some series like in the cartoons. Anybody heard this Jungle Book? Jungle Book written by Rudyard Kipling. Now also
Yes,
the
yes.
thing on Jungle Book. Okay, so this is given by Rudyard Kipling. Now also the children are enjoying by the series of Jungle Book. There's a story of a boy who just grown up in the animals and all like that is a story goes on like. So it is given by Rudyard Kipling. So now some of the Indian authors in that V.K. Gangok is also there. And translation, translation. So they have translated this series of Rudyard Kipling's from English to the our Indian Hindi language. And also some of the same people, they have same translate the foreign language to the Indian English and given the story to us. You know, the foreign English and Indian English have a lot of changes are there. So that changes, they have changed and given to us in our Indian English. Sir William Jones translated the Shakuntala and A.V. Lydia's translation of the Panchatantra book, is writers on Indian themes by Englishmen. You know, Panchatantra is also there. You have heard the Panchatantra, I think so. Yes. So Panchatantra means there is also a theme-based stories that is written by our Indian writers. So these Indian writers' stories also they have transformed into the foreign English and they are presenting in the different countries. It's not only like a translation of foreign English only to Indian English, but it is also there like our Indian English also translated into the foreign English and presented over there. You know, very famous author like ours is R.K. Narayan. Have heard of R.K. Narayan? I think so, everybody here. R.K. Narayan stories. R.K. Narayan stories are very, very famous stories of a village, especially based on village, say, very poor side, immigrated people, like very before the independence, like post-independence side, like R.K. Narayan's very famous stories. R.K. Narayan is also overall very famous writer in the whole world. His stories are also translated into
Yes,
the
like Malgudi days.
Yes, as Malgudi days, yes, correct. Sarma said that correct, very correct. That Malgudi days is also has presented into the series to the Doordarshan channel to make the awareness among the people how they are leading the life in very very like bad side, the poverty side life. They have shown it the shown in the serial based in the you say uh, and good theme based they have given in Malgudi days. Yeah, so, like this, they are the one who read by the foreigners. What I mean to say is, the Malgudi days written by R. K. Narayan is not only famous in our country, but also the people they are reading these stories in the other countries as well. How we are reading other writers in our country, the same here, the people are reading our writers in the different countries in the world. Okay. Okay. Now here, uh, you have seen that there is one of the topic which is discussed on the side of education. Education sites, how the education when started in our country, what are the steps they have taken, who are the people who began to start education in our country, and without education we wouldn't be there now. Without education I think we wouldn't also have met like this. And when the education started, all the technologies came in front. I think so. You understanding? Yes. Because of education, the technologies are there. Without education, can the technology used to be there? No. Without education, you couldn't have any technology. The people are qualifying, educating themselves. That is the reason we are not. We are having lot of technologies, lot of luxuries. Like, hello, is my voice clear to all?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So with the education only, the lots of technologies, luxuries, everything now we are gaining number of things sitting at home only you are getting. How? Because of knowledge, because of education, right? Because of the technologies. By sitting here, you are getting within a 1 minute whatever you want to eat at home at your doorstep within a half an hour span. When you cannot have like cutting your vegetables only, in that time you are getting prepared whatever is the wish in there in your mind. You just click, you count a like number, you dial a number, and you give a address to him, and you say the whatever type of food your meals you want to have, you are getting to your doorstep. How? It is all because of the technology and education. The technology is helping a lot to the people here. So before the technologies, I want to go to like the education, how it began. I said that it's the 18th century, the 18th century where education uh, was began in our country. So when the foreigners were ruling, 200 more than 200 years they have ruled to us. You know this, I think, in the history what happened. The history is known to us. So 200 years before, when they ruled to us, at that time, very less people were educated. So because of that, not having the good education, we were the slaves under their hands. We were like the puppets under their hands. So how we got the freedom? Because of the education only. How we got the freedom? Because of education. And who was the one who fighted there? All the educated people only. Mahatma Gandhi. He was a lawyer. He did his what you say masters, and also he has done his LLB. And not here in our country. He went to the foreign because there was no proper universities, there was no proper resource in our country, and like he moved to the different country outside, and he did his LLB and came. And I said this Mulkraj Anand, Raja Rao, Mohan Roy. These are the one. These are the very good social workers. There also we can say that they were all the social workers. Like to develop the society, to develop the country. The people worked a lot, struggled a lot from first side, like that is education side. So they are the people who brought education to us. Okay, in that Gandhiji's name is that how they brought education to us. There were some you can say like some demands they have given under in front of the foreigners, in front of the Britishers. When the Britishers they were ruling, they have asked some like a request to the Britishers to have the schools, to inaugurate some universities, to inaugurate some like small types of schools there in the area. Especially Hindi medium started, Urdu medium started, Telugu medium started. Like this, the education began in our country in the 18th century. In the 18th century, and who brought this? This there the people like Tagore also fought for education. You can say Mulkraj Anand also fought for our education. So they have brought some of the rules and regulations. That all rules and regulations they have given here in Macaulaay's minute. See which is the content given in our textbook. T.B. Macaulaay's minute. T.B. Macaulay. He is a one of the social worker. He is a very qualified person. He is an educated person. He also thought like our Indian people, why should not have the qualification? Why should not they also have like to read and write? They can also learn the reading side. They can also have to learn the writing side. Then we should have. Then we can have some knowledge. So to increase this knowledge, they have recommended some uh, recommendations they have kept, and all these recommendations they have kept by writing some letters. I think you have done this topic in what you say in our in your first year. The topics have ended, are they?
Yes, ma'am. We learn first year.
This how the education began and how it has slowly and steadily increased year by year, and how the universities they have come
Yeah,
like
Macaulay minute.
Macular's minute is there. So that Macular's minute is also they have given in our module to start this education. So what the Britishers they have given, like the Britishers given the permission to start the schools in our areas, wherever the regions are there in the like say rural areas are there, huh? And some developed areas are there, some undeveloped areas are there. So they have given the permission to start the schools. Okay, when they have started the school at that time there was not so much of people like to have a English medium. First of all, in our country only the people who read in English medium was very less. Very few people, only 10% people use have the qualified side. In that again 10% only 4 to 5% people have qualified from the English medium. Remaining all what they have done, they have gone to Telugu, Hindi and Urdu. These three medias were very famous in the olden days. Okay, and when they have going on with the Telugu, Hindi, and Urdu medium, and they got an idea why shouldn't have the English medium in our country? Why we shouldn't have English medium classes in our areas? If we learn English, then we can understand somewhat the Britishers. Like this idea, they got to the these fighters, like social workers, and they again began after some of the years, extending of the years, the forward coming years, they began the new idiomatic of having the English medium schools. Okay, again they have kept in demand. Again they have written some letters to have the English medium universities, to have the English medium schools in our country, in our India, in our regional areas also. Not only the far, very far areas. University means it's a very huge place. We need like huge faculty. We need, and also what the people they have done is they started to have the English medium schools so that the people also know English. They also can have some idea what the this Britishers are speaking, what the British are showing to us. So like that, they have struggled a lot. In this Macular's minute, if you go, what the things that has gone through, In that, Soap's report is also there. You know, Soap's report was written in 1823 in the letter form of published in the autobiography, The Life of Benevolent Soap. A work that has not received attention should, as it probably the first autobiography in English in India, had not yet formally become a colony of British. Queen Victoria has not yet disgraced himself to Empress the India. The First War of Independence of 1857, or Sepoy Minty, as the British called it, was more than 3 decades away. However, large tracts of India have already come under the control of East India Company. You know, the East India Company, when they established, so a lot of people they came here, like the foreigners came here, started the East India Company here, and encounter between the British and the local population has begun to influence various aspects of society. Soap's report shows that the kind of questions, debates about the education system. So, you know, the system was also there. What was the system there in Soap's report? The system like the first language, the second language, and the third language system was there. Even now, when you see the languages are there, they are different in the medias. When you go to the Hindi medium, the first language is different. When you go to Telugu medium, the second language, first language will not have the same stage. They move on to the different stages. So they want to have a new system. They want to begin a new system in the education side. Yeah. So he not only re-examined, who Rao not only examined the pedagogic uh, practice but also explore new emerging concepts of knowledge. Some of these debates find their way into Macaulay's TV, Macaulay's Minute of the 2nd February 1835. Macaulay too was participating in the debate of Indian education. More particularly, he has advocated the promotion of English in India against the Orientalists' demand or classical Indian language. As you can see, Macaulay's Minute of 1835 to separate campus that the colonial subjects the masters have began to separate out. In the next few decades, Indian education was to spread and various universities were established. This brought with the liberal idea, literary influence, Christianity, and intimations of different society. There is one person who bears the marks of these developments. Taradat was an educated Christian woman who wrote poems that were heavily influenced by the English Romanticism. But what is significant for us as readers today is the way she read and rewrite myths from the perspective of both women and Christian. You will also read in this section one of early novels of English, Krupa by Satyananda Sobuna. She weaves the autobiographical and fictional modes together to interrogate the personal virtues, the political and the religious. Subuna depicts a specific set of complications that the encounter of colonialism brings about. We may want to examine both Tara Dutt and Kripa by Satyanand in terms of the readers were addressing. So here, one of the lady author, writer, he is Krupabai Satyanand. He is from the Maharashtrian side. He also fighting for us for the startup of English medium schools in our country. So, and by the lady, a female writer, also here the Tara Dutt, who is also a very like very you can say the Christian woman focused on the English medium side, like, and she has written English poetry which were influenced, which influenced many people and myths. She wrote myths. Myth means, we can say, depending on the truth sides, like so. This all the one. The all the people who worked for improvement of our education, development of our education. So now the development of education uh, came up slow by slow, not at a in so quick of time. It take a like slow and steadily. It came into the existence by starting up the English medium schools in our country. Okay, so how the English has launched in our uh, India, how the English began in our India by the education, by the writing side, by the story side. That is all here. The subject is showing to us. Okay, in the period of hello, the period between 1813 and 1835 is an important period in the history of Indian education. Through the British Parliament in its time. The lakhs of 1813 has set up a lakhs of rupees for the reviving Indian literature and for the prominent scientific knowledge. Very little efforts were made in this direction. But the period witnessed debates on the relative importance of Oriental and Western system of knowledge in science and literature. Books of histories of Indian education trace the beginning of English education to Raja Mohan Roy, letter of 12th December 1822 to the Governor General of India, urging him to take steps to the introduction of India. But very little is known about the letter. Uh, Beningpillai Soups Rao wrote 7th August 1822 the Secretary of Madras School Society about the condition of the education in the Madras uh, processes more than 3 years. Rajaram Mohan Roy's letter, efforts following including that of Sir Thomas Munir, Governor of the Madras Presidency, to assess the state of education in all the districts. It is interesting to note that the reports from the districts reveal efforts on the part of the colonial administration to devise methods of improve the moral character of the natives and to suggest a way to stop the system of fraud, bribery, and corruption of the revenue servants and secure the cooperation of Indian allied classes in this direction. So here, when they have written the letters, uh, to start up the schools, they need some amount uh, to start the schools. We need some amount, so they have requested for the amount as well. You know, Soup's report is saying about to start up the school, and they want to have some startup amount also. So for the amount also, they requested to the Governor General, uh, and first they want to start the Madras. In 1820, the Secretary of Madras School Book Society, they have also given their efforts to launch the English media schools. And why they wanted to have the English mediums to stop the corruption, to stop the revenue servants, to stop the bribery, to stop the fraud. See, these all were going on because of the absence of the English. So Englishmen, what they used to do, they used to play with us. They have made us the puppets. Okay, we were the puppets, like in their hands. Whatever they used to say, how much amount they used to pay, simply, and we used to say yes, and we have finalized whatever the word they say. We have to say yes under the hand without knowing any calculations, uh, without any no extra knowledge. We have done everything. We were the slave like. So to move on to this, to moving on to this, they have started the schools. They have started the education. They want to get some change in the society. They want to change the society. They want to change the regional and rural areas. They want to change the states and they want to change the countries as well. So, according to the report, reading formed an important part of education of the people. Reading the same to have meant a general fluency in reading books. Even this was considered a great qualification of a prospective bridegroom. So says that those days a person's ability to read did not mean the understood the meaning. He is quick to add that even the teaching at the early stages of learning to the students not being taught grammar and proper teaching of morals. He says that in such a situation, students used to learn more knowledge for the languages after leaving the school when they actually started working. So here in the 19th century, when they began the English medium schools, but they were no qualified English medium staff only there. You know, when the school is there, we need the staff as well. When will the staff will be there? When the society is filled with the qualified people, then the school will be filled with the good faculty, good teachers. If the teachers are not qualified in English medium, how could be the English medium schools will be running away? So what they have done first, they have gathered the good qualified teachers. Good qualified here, I mean to say like the teachers also should have the education from English medium side. If they are from the English medium side, then they can give some good knowledge to the students there. So they started there taking a good English teachers, a good English medium teachers who can taught English grammar as well. Why in the sense English grammar here is when you speak, when you write English, lots of grammatical mistakes we will do when we are not qualified, and that's the reason they want a good English teacher to make out our grammatical mistakes when you write or when you speak. So in that to the sense they have taken very good teachers, qualified teachers. They have searched and they have gathered qualified teachers, those who have done their schooling from the English medium, and they began the school working, started the school here. Okay, this is the beginning of the 19th century with the English medium schools. Now, state of education, general state of education. General state of education. Uh, so also says that the education offered was innocent with the professional practice by the various families. In this content, the command that those who have general mode of education, mode of education used to the same of boy of caste indiscriminately. He adds that among girls and those from the dancing community received education then as needed to read and write to enable them to get by heart songs by sung in the concern. He also reports later that the income of the schoolmaster in Madras has been very considerable. Some years or ago, when there were no more than three or four schools, and that were so many of them later on the four schools, and there were so many of them later on the emoluments were hardly sufficient. He also points out the fact that even in the provisions of presidency, there was not a village that did not have a school. The students were taught um, but even this was not satisfactory, though they were made to read books of morals. No efforts was made to impress minds of the students the real intent force of the benefits thereby descriptive. So they also taught the accounts. Accounts means like maths only. Accounts is accounts goes on the first side with the mathematics subject. Okay, what are the accounts like? How much of amount you have spent on one particular thing, and how much was the saving, and if you are doing any business, okay, how much you spend it, and how much is the profit and how much is the loss. This all they have started up in the schools. So coming to the English literature side, coming to the English writing side, Indian writing in English has commanded unstated administration to both home and abroad. Abroad is now in its full swing, has carved out a new track in new version, a vision that is repeated with an unhasting faith and hope, myths and tradition, customs and rites, etc. If we dive deep into the work of Indian stalwarts of English fiction, it is revealed with their works are not an intimation of English literary pattern, but highly original and intensively Indian in the both theme and spirit. Moreover, the Indian English writers use it with inevitable essence and gaining mastery of the foreign tongue of articulate the visions and the uh, vicinities of individual consciousness in the realm of its own apply, substantiate the expensive and verse of the Indian English writers. The Indian writing in English has commanded unstained administration in both home and abroad in its full swing and carved out a new track, new vision, a vision of a replete and unanswered faith and hope, myths and tradition, customs and rites, etc. If we dive deep into the works of Indian stalwarts of English fiction, it is revealed that their works are not an imitation of English literary pattern but highly original and intensively Indian in both theme and spirit. They have given a new spade and color of English literature in the same way as the Australians and Americans have evolved their own literature in their respective countries. The English literature is 200 years old. See, Arabindo stands like a huge oak spreading its branches over these two countries. The contribution of Sri Aurobindo as a perfect writer and craftsman is undoubtedly great. He is the first poet in India English writing who has given the reinterpretation of myth. Sri Aurobindo advocates spiritual humanism. What Sri Aurobindo points out to the philosophers of today is that human life, body, mind, and evolved forms of supermind. Aurobindo famous work. You know Aurobindo, you have heard, I think so. Sir Aurobindo Ghosh. You have heard the name of Sri Aurobindo Ghosh? Have anybody heard the name of Aurobindo Ghosh? He's a philosopher. He's a you can say like he's a social worker. He is a good writer. As according to the content Google here, going to our content, it's given here like the Arbindo is the first Indian writer who has written on our people's mindset. You know, people's mindset, the human body, how the life began, and what the life goes on, and what are the things connected, and how the life ends. It's so much spiritual side. So all these are all the myths. All he has written on the myths taken together to give a complete picture of Aurobindo's version of future possibilities of man shows the humanistic trends in his in this thought. In the human cycle, the poet philosopher offers us a social philosophy of history, illuminated by the splendid spiritual vision of future. It's self-evident Indian English drama could not secure a firm foothold and build a tradition of its own about which M.K. Nayak says. Owing to the lack of dramatic tradition, nourished an actual performance of live theatre early Indian English drama in Bengal, as elsewhere in Indian, grew spontaneously as mostly processed dramas, even later only Sri Aurobindo, Rabindranath Tagore, and Harish Chandra Chattopadhyay produced a substantial corpus of dramatic writing. Rabindranath Tagore, born in 1861. So, and here he also celebrated the name in the sphere of English literature. His creative genuine is so much accounting that his literary output is so much rich and varied that the phrase mirrored-minded, which Matthew Arnold has used for Shakespeare, can actify the use of him also. He won Nobel Prize, immortal poetic work on, uh, and he was also a great novelist. He was also a great poet, writer, and what you hear about Tagore, he was also musician, philosopher, educationist, reformer, and a critic in every field, and had earned a rich of himself. The setting of his novel is representative and reflective. Their characters are natural, realistic, full-blooded in life. The socio-religious culture of Bengal in brilliant portrayed in his novel. He's a Bengali person. So he has grown up a Bengali side and he has written in the Bengali also. Through his novels, he brings out some of the problems of the women of his age. Not only he has written about the society, nature, he has also written, Tagore has also written the problematic things which is connected with the woman. The women of his age, different kinds of human relations are portrayed and analyzed through the different social settings. Some of his novel deals with the modern problems of our society and interest in them centers around the psychological development of characters under the compelling stress of circumstance. To his credit, there is a long list of poems and plays both in Bengali and English, which has made his place among the world's greatest writer, Enger's world. So the author, we have heard about Rabindranath Tagore here. We have heard about Sri Aurobindo Ghosh here. So the author. Now we are going to read about, as I said already, some of the famous writers were before, like pre-independence and post-independence. Pre-independence means before the independence, some of the writers who given us a good name and fame. And post-independence means after the independence, some of the writers who given us a very good stories and with their good name and fame. So, post-independence has been making a quick strides in field of science and technology. There has been an admirable economic growth in Indian recent times. So, the novel proves to be efficient medium for the reflection of the spirit of the age, encompassing the better and sweet realities of the period. The great prolification of Indian English and novel owes its credit to the students' increase of interest in the new literature of post-colonial nations by the West. The Indian English fiction has had a meteoric growth during the dawn of the millennium year, and writing in all the genres of literature has gained momentum practically in Indian novel. The denotes of Indian writing like R.K. Narayan, Mulkaraj Anand, and uh, their ink promoted and their ink promoted the conventional mode of writing. The postures of contemporary and the modern era includes Salman Rushdie, Amit Amitav Ghosh, Vikram Seth, and many more. They elicit the substantial strength of the emerging modern voice of Indian, which has vibrancy and energy of gushing uh, ascertain along with an unmatched resolve of the experiment and explore the new avenues of writing novel. A host of contemporary post-colonial writers like Rushdie, uh, Arundhati Roy, Meena Alexander, Anita Nair, and Jampalahari have initiated the process of localizing the colonial English and using it as a medium of express Indian thoughts and substitutes with the distinction in Indian style. Hello, 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 students.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, hello, students. Here, the last how much time? 10 to 15 minutes are left over here. So these were all the history of the English, Indian English writing and the famous authors. We have discussed about Aurobindo Ghosh. We have discussed about Gandhi. We have discussed about and what is Rabindranath Tagore. Many more are there. Tomorrow's session, I think so. I'm going to take. We will begin from the text tomorrow. That is block one. Block one. You have 6 units. So I will begin the 6 units tomorrow. How much it is possible, I will finish that tomorrow. And today was like the history of only English. So how the poetries in the century began and how the poetries they have began and all that was a history. And tomorrow the practical lessons given by some particular authors and their details we go on tomorrow. So here Some of the lessons are given over in the content, that is Toradat from ancient ballad and
Coba kan
Krupabai.
Roma.
Yes, ma'am.
Tirban kan agak.
Come up again. Can you come up again? She said something. You can speak. It's not like only speaking me here. This is the last minute I'll give you to speak from your side. Let us discuss the things, if any things are there in your mind. Some of the time I should listen you people also. It's not only speaking me all the time. What she was saying something, someone was saying something. Okay. So this is then the next is Saguna by Krupabai Satyanand and Gurjada Apparos Kanyasulkam is there and B.R. Ambedkar, Buddha or Karl Marx. These are the 6 units. First is all we have discussed about the report on education. That is Soup's report, Raja Rao, Mohan Rao, how he worked and all their names I have already taken, no? Mulkaraj Anand. These all I have discussed there, right? This Maculate Minute also we have discussed. Maculate Minute is also the meeting which they have held on the education side, that also we have discussed today. So these two topics have covered up a little bit, not totally I can say, little bit of the topics we have covered today. And in the block one, the two topics more than 20% we have done, and remaining four will go on in detail tomorrow. Can anyone want to speak anything regarding uh, today's session? Will anyone will speak anything? Do you have any like queries? You want to speak anything? You have any like doubts or questions? No? Why everyone are not interested? Are people here? The lecturers not interesting? No answer? Are you not listening? Are you not listening? No one is answering here. Are you all just attending the classes there or listening for to write the exam well? Hello, students. Are you listening?
Yes, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Only yes. Was the session boring today? The topics are like that. It's not in our hand to have any interesting side. The topics are like that to have, but you have to understand everything here. If they are not making you happy also, or not making you have any joy there also, but you have to study. It's a given over here in the content, then it's a thing that we have to understand deeply, and if you understand, then only you can write something in the exam. By simply reading, you cannot write. If a reading without understanding is like not reading only, not read. It is like just looked up. So looking and reading also intensively reading should be there, not external type of reading. External reading means like students will, like the children when they start reading the words and all. They read. It's not like the reading should be intensively with understanding. Then you can present your presentation very well in the finals. So, can anyone want to speak anything once again? All the students are 11 11 are only 11 are there. In the beginning, I saw you more than 16, I think so. 16 people were there, or 14 somewhere. Okay, how is the book? How is the content you have seen? It's easy or difficult? How are you feeling this book? Book number like six. Yes, the final year in English book number six. How you are feeling this book? Is it easy or it's tough for you to go when you see the content? How you are feeling it? How are you feeling?
Good evening, ma'am. Actually, everyone we need classes, ma'am, because the terminology is different. So when you are taking a class, the terminology you use is very easy. So we can understand the concept of the lesson. So when we read the book, the terminology is different. So even we are reading 3 4 times, also we are unable to get the gist of the lesson. So yeah, we know that topic is boring. So uh, we are also not getting much more interest on the book itself. So when you are teaching, it's like a discussion mode. So when 2 3 members are studying, so we get some points. So what should we read and what should we remember to write the exams? So in that way, your class is very much useful, ma'am. Thank
Okay,
you for that.
thank you. As you have given like the classes useful, whatever the topics which I am giving, like I have repeatedly said you like these are the things which is given here in English writing, like the okay, the historical based things means that only which makes us sleep. The history makes us sleep, you know. So
Yes,
whatever it is, if the history making sleep also, if we read 3 to 4 times, the sleepiness will move away. It
yes,
takes
yes.
a place. It takes a place in mind, and that will never makes us like boring. So what we have to do is, the intention is like I want to finish and understand this topic, finalize like that, and whatever the topic which is feeding you more, you just take a span of change your mood like by listening to the music and all, and then you again go up with the same topic. Here we are the one who like make the topic very easy by our classes. So also if you are unable to understand or if you are unable to like not attend the class also, so what's your work is to go through again and again 3 to 4 times, and the text is very easy side part. If you are following any what you say like materials, study materials and all that all are waste. I'm saying you, if you want to go in the easy way, the text is the very easy way to go. The text takes you to the very easiest way. Whatever the lines they have arranged, the words they have arranged, the language they have used over here is very finest, very, very fine in the very finest way they have expressed everything. So if you are depending on the text, so then you are the one who can score good, not less. So, however, the staff here, the source people are one here to help you. The resource people are there here to help you. So, if you are listening to the classes carefully, then it's very easy for you to not need to have for 3 to 4 times also. In one reading, in two reading, you will get your topics very easily understand and you can write in just one or second reading. People by heart, sit and by heart. This and that again 3 to 4 times. That repetitions will not be there if you listen and understand the topic. If you understand, the repetition is not so many times is needed. One or twice, then you can, however, you have heard, you have understood the topics in the classes. It becomes easy. When you go before the examination point of view, you just see the content and the stories and the authors' names and the topics, whatever we have heard. You mark the important lines there when you are reading. Yes, this is the important. This we have to present in the answer. Like then you can go up.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So first is what means when you go to the history part, no? So you have to write the history part is when it started. Who started it? When means the time, the grace 18th century, 1830 na, 1839 na, it started in that so and so century. Okay, and when it started, who was the first person to that take it into hand and take it into the public side? That you have to remember. These things, if you are remembering in the history, then history also very easy to you. That all I've already expressed you 2 to 3 times, like who were the started people here. Arvind Ghosh is the first Indian author to make our history in writing. Like you can say the stories, okay, whatever you say, plays are there, and the dramas are there, and you can say the myths he has started. You know, myth means सब सच जो होता है ना, सच सच जो चलता है ना, सच मतलब जो हुआ है उसको मिथ बोला जाता है. जैसा epic stories, some of them coming from the myth, that is Ramayan. You know, it's a mythical story. You can say a spiritual mythical story. Myth means which is real happened in our life.